Oh man, so it's been a crazy week in the crypto space with Bitcoin and Phantom having various announcements and swings to the upside and the downside. As you guys know, Sunday can be quite a quiet day. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new segment on this channel, which is Crypto Weekly. And in Crypto Weekly on a Sunday, we'll recap the events over the last 6-7 days, plus give you a view on what I think can happen going into the week ahead. So if you appreciate that, hit up the like button, subscribe. If you like this type of format, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget, these videos are brought to you by NordVPN, who've been kind enough to help us all stay safe in crypto. If you still haven't got yourself set up on a VPN, coupon code is OHMAN. Links in the description to get 70% off. Yes, 70% off something which is super cost effective anyway. A couple of bucks to get yourself set up on a VPN. So, been a crazy week. We started off Sunday, the 6th of March last week with Andre Cronje shocking the market, particularly in the Phantom ecosystem, but all of DeFi as a whole, announcing that he is leaving his projects and terminating his project. Let's take a recap. Things are official, and now Phantom Foundation. We're extremely grateful to Andre for all he did for crypto as a whole. However, Phantom isn't and never was a one-man team. There are 40 plus people working here. You want to be looking at the bottom of this wedge, which brings you down to 130. Okay, I'm not saying we're going to get there. Hopefully we can pick up some support from where we're at now, but your proper support is going to be at the bottom of the wedge at 130, because this just rug pulled it completely, right? This is exactly what you do not want in a project. Very unfortunate that Andre Cronje has done this. Bitcoin then opened up on Monday around 38,500 before falling as low as 37,000 amidst fears of US banning Russian oil. We then opened up on Monday, the 7th, with all major indices down, including the Dow Jones, S&P, NASDAQ, and therefore Bitcoin. You can see that candle here. This was on the 7th of March. We opened as high as 38,406 before falling to lows of 37,100 intraday and being as high as 39,556. So crazy day as US threatened to ban the import of Russian oil. So really volatile start to the week, and that pretty much set the tone for what then ended up being a crazy week ahead. On Tuesday the 8th, we then had the Russian counterparts coming out and saying that we could be seeing $300 per barrel oil if these bans go ahead. So that continued to keep volatility high in the markets, but the markets took the day to have a little bit of a rally, and we saw some of the major indices up, and Bitcoin actually had a decent day. We saw Bitcoin opening up close to 38,000 and being as high as 39,000 on the day here, and you can see it closed in at 38,749 here. So it was a decent day at this point for Bitcoin, but we knew what was around. And the next day, on the 9th of March, is when we had Biden coming out to try to save crypto. Who would have thought Biden would be our very own crypto Santa Claus? He comes out and he gives his executive order, which seemed to be backing Bitcoin, and Bitcoin rallied at the time about 8% up on the day. I remember having a really powerful day as people started to think, hang on a second, if the US are on side and they want to become better at crypto and more embracing of crypto, that could potentially be a big sign. So you can see the markets are running and actually had a high of 43,000, almost 42.5 really. But just goes to show the quick rally. But we knew that on Wednesday, which is when the rally was happening after the executive order, we knew there was a big day the following day, because Thursday was the CPI reading. And Thursday, we knew this was the last reading we were going to get. You can even see we had this blue line dotted in for a long time. This was our CPI reading. It was the last piece of data we were going to get before the FOMC meeting on March the 16th, okay? And the data came in, and the data met expectations, but it just proved that inflation was still very high. 7.9%, again, the highest inflation the US has seen in 40 years, and Bitcoin initially started to rally, but it didn't take it too well, and it gave up all the gains pretty much from the day before and continued to fall to the downside, okay? The inflation turned the market into a risk-off market, and Bitcoin got the sell-off that you would expect. With Bitcoin hovering precariously at the bottom of this wedge, which, remember, statistically is more likely to break to the upside from a technical perspective, we opened up on Friday with the markets feeling a little bit buoyant. The major indices were up. Putin said that we're seeing less escalation and that there were actually some positive signs from the talks, which was really interesting. But Bitcoin still, despite intraday running up to 40,000, closed in at 38,732 as market markets decided not to keep their trades open going into the weekend, and we could see we were still hovering precariously at the bottom of the wedge. We then opened up on Sunday today with heightened escalations. We're hearing news at the time of recording this video that Russia had bombed a training facility in Ukraine, but which was used as a training site for some of NATO. Could this be an escalation move? This will no doubt spook markets. We will be able to see that in the futures, but we also want to see opening up on Monday. How does the market react to this? We've got a big week coming up. This week, we've got the CPI reading on the 16th, okay? Very important reading. Within 3 days, we're going to find out. So the FOMC will sit down for 2 days, and at the end of it, we're going to find out, will we get a 0.25% increase in interest rates, or is it going to be a double hike? A double hike, and Bitcoin will fall. We'll turn on to risk off, and Bitcoin will fall to the downside. I'll probably break this pattern to the downside, which, remember, from a technical perspective, if we break to the downside, not only will all our major altcoins fall, but Bitcoin could be heading back to the 33,000 region. If we get some news which the market is expecting, by the way, we know 0.25%, a single rate hike, has been priced in. The market will not be spooked by this, and that could actually cause us to rally here within this wedge, breaking through some of these key levels and start working our way back towards 44,500 this week. This has to be the mission operandi for Bitcoin this week. If we don't, it gets very worrying that we're going to break to the downside. The longer we stay below 40,000, the psychological level, the more likely we are to lose this wedge to the downside, and therefore the technical target will become 33. Needless to say, a lot of our favorite altcoins will continue to the downside. On Phantom, it's been a rocky week. We know what happened with Andre Cronje. We saw the Phantom Foundation and Michael Kong, the CEO, scramble to try to calm investors' nerves, but we saw 30% falls in the price. We saw 30 to 40% of total value locked, leaving Phantom as people panicked, understandably, given the lack of transparency in the news. Luckily, Phantom Foundation has now got the data out there. They've reminded everybody, as we've covered off on this channel, that Andre did not have or play a bigger part as people think. The projects are all continuing, they're all being handed over, and in fact, many of them already had their own teams. There's not much to hand over anyway. They've just lost their figurehead in Andre Cronje. As I mentioned, I took the time last week to buy on the dips. I was buying Phantom at 117-ish on Phantom. I have to go back to the video to watch that, but that's the kind of level we were picking it out. Now, we've got Phantom here at 118. It's got an important work to do this week, and it's going to depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin falls from that pattern, guys, Phantom can fall, so we have to be prepared for that, and it will fall. And that is why you need to start thinking about getting comfortable with the 96-cent mark. I know it sounds horrible, and having a game plan for what you would do if we fell to that level. Remember, our level from before, when Bitcoin fell to 32, Phantom held at 115. But we're already at 118. So we've not got room to hold 115 if Bitcoin falls from the wedge and starts heading towards 33. That is why we have to look to our next support level, which is 96. But let's not just look at doom and gloom. If Bitcoin can start running towards the top of the wedge, which is 44.5, then we want to see Phantom really start to work its way back to $2. That's the work here Phantom needs to do. But before that, you've got a key level 165 that it needs to capture. That's going to be a really important level, because a close on your daily above 165 will then mean we can start getting back into our EMA ribbon, and a close above 179 would actually flip us back positive and back bullish on our EMA ribbon. So those are the key levels we want to look out for going for this week. We need a good, strong tailwind to help us get there, right? We're going to need good news. We're going to need less escalations, but waking up here on Sunday with Russia increasing their bombing on a NATO training camp within Ukraine, I don't think the market's going to take too well to that. I expect Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to be very tentative in the market, waiting for this interest rate hike. So I expect us to further go sideways here on Bitcoin and therefore our altcoins. And then when that decision comes out, if we don't spook the market, I expect us to run to the upside if we get a single rate hike. That's what I expect. That's what I expect to see here on Bitcoin. So it's been a crazy volatile period, like I said, for many weeks now. I expected this sideways action leading up to this critical meeting, which is our first rate hike. Now the market needs to see, how does it react? The rate hike will come into place. How does the market react? Hopefully the investors will start to say, hang on a second, it's not too bad, 0.25%. And then it increases by another 0.25% the next month and the next month. And slowly the markets will start to digest this. And hopefully we can start seeing a recovery and this start to build back to the levels where we were originally at on Bitcoin and some of our favorite altcoins. There you have it, guys. There is your weekly roundup. Crazy week, volatile week. But ultimately, we didn't move, right? It was a crazy week here on Bitcoin. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, as we expect in crypto. But we've pretty much been sideways. We're still at about 37 to 39 range, sitting at 39,000 for now. No major move to the upside, no major move to the downside. But this wedge is coming to an end. Bitcoin is soon going to have to make up its mind and our altcoins are going to move in a similar direction too. As always, if you appreciate this type of content, hit up the like button and subscribe. Don't forget, these videos are brought to you by NordVPN. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to link up the video to the most important rule you need to know when investing in crypto. It's really important that if you haven't watched this video, you go and watch this video. It's all good us looking at technical charts and patterns. It's all good us, looking at the news and understanding what's going to happen with interest rate hikes. But if we don't manage our psychology and know this key investing rule, this is the most important investing rule I know, then there is little to no point in investing, because we're going to keep making mistakes. Go watch that video. Let me know what you think of it in the comments of that video, and I will see you in the next one.